This is who I think Scotland could pick and who I think they should pick for their upcoming game against Wales in the Six Nations. They obviously had a really big win against England last week, but do I think they should go with the same team? Honestly, I don't. And there's also been quite a few injuries as well going into this week. I mean, there's been injuries to Jack Dempsey, Jamie Dobie, and Jamie Ritchie. So, three key players. I mean, Jack Dempsey is probably, in my opinion, Scotland's best forward. Over the last few games, over the last few months, I honestly do believe Jack Dempsey is the best forward in the Scotland pack. So losing him is going to be absolutely a massive loss for them. I mean, he's the one guy that always gets go forward. He always gets over the advantage line. He's an incredibly good ball carrier. He's really skillful, and I think they're really going to miss a guy like him in the team. Obviously, Jamie Dobie had a much better performance against England than he did the previous week against Italy. I think the conditions played a massive part in that, and I really was excited to see the likes of a Jamie Dobie get some good game time against Wales. I really thought he was going to be a no-brainer selection for this week, but he's also returned back to his club with a bit of an injury. I'm not sure exactly what each injury is. I just know that they are injured and unavailable. And obviously Jamie Ritchie went off the field injured last week against England. I thought he actually had quite a good game. He's one of those guys I really like it when he plays for Scotland because he always just plays so much better at international level. He's kind of like a Franco Mostert or a Peter Steph du Toit where they just get so much better when they play for their country than they do at their clubs. But he went off with a knee injury, so three key players gone, but I do think there's going to be some good replacements coming in. And unfortunately for Wales, I do think this was probably the best timing for this to happen. I mean, going into a game like Wales, I think they were going to make changes anyways. I mean, there's a lot of Glasgow Warriors players in this team that probably need a bit of a break. They've been playing a lot of rugby. There's been a lot of club rugby, Champions Cup coming up, URC playoffs. I think for the player welfare and to take care of the players, I think Gregor Townsend will make quite a few changes to his team. So that's probably why I think there will be a few changes. Obviously, last week against England was a really high emotion game. There was a lot of emotion that went into it. The players played really hard. It was really intense. And I do think going from a game like that and trying to replicate that the week after is going to be near impossible. I mean, if I think to some good examples, Springboks to the 2023 World Cup quarterfinal against France, very emotional game. The players were really up for it, extremely intense. Next week, semi-final, they just couldn't get up for it emotionally the same way. They did make a few changes, and the guys from the bench really had to make an impact that game. So I do think maybe playing the exact same team might just hinder their performance going into this one. I mean, these guys are professional athletes. You do expect them to be at their best every week, but it's impossible to be at your best after a performance like that with so much emotion. It's going to be really difficult to try get up for it again that way, especially after a game like that. So as much as I do think after a bad performance, it's good to play the same team to try bounce back. After a really good performance like that, but a really intense performance, I do think it's quite important to try maybe change players up, especially if you are playing against probably the weakest team in the Six Nations right now, where they can maybe afford a few changes, they can go see a few combinations. But I mean, let's get right into it. At number one, I think they're going to go for Piers Skuman. I think he's going to come back from the bench to the starting lineup because I do think Wales are okay at scrum time. I think their props are actually some of their strongest players in the team, and I think Scotland have actually been quite weak in the scrum recently. I think this is going to be an area they're going to want to improve in big time, and I think Piers Skuman's going to be probably one of the best guys to bring in for that. I was quite shocked to see that he was on the bench last week, but he was one of the better props in the team for Scotland last week. I think he deserves a start going into this game. Number two, I've gone for George Turner. Now in the front row, I don't think there'll be that many changes. I do think throughout the rest of the team there'll be a few changes, but in the front row, I think they need more time together. They need more game time. They need to be able to click, and I think they need to play better, honestly, because the front row right now for Scotland is a bit of a worry. But I think George Turner, when it comes to line-out time and that kind of set piece and open play, has been really good. But scrum time, his props haven't really been helping him out. So I think sticking with the normal front row is going to be key for Scotland going into this game. So George Turner at number two. Number three, Xander Fagerson. I think they're going to go with Xander Fagerson. He is probably their best prop in the team besides Piers Skuman. He's really good in open play, but he's going to be very disappointed with how he's been scrummaging recently. I mean, at this level, you need a good scrum to build from. And I've seen also in the comments of some of my videos that people are worried about the Scotland scrum. And I mean, the front three, the front row, is the most important players when it comes to that. So Xander Fagerson, I think it's important for him to get a bit more game time and for this front row to really just try click. Now at number four, Max Williamson, and number five, Scott Cummings. I think these two will be the locks for this game. I do think Gregor Brown will move from lock to loose forward, so that's why I think that it'll be Max Williamson and Scott Cummings for this game. Two hard-working locks. I think they're going to need it. I mean, Wales have quite a tough pack. Obviously, anything can happen in these games, and I do think Wales are struggling right now, but they did kind of show some positives last week. I mean, they showed a few improvements. They won a few little battles here and there throughout the game. And if they can build on this and get better, I think Wales are honestly going to come out and play a bit better this week against Scotland. So it's going to be an interesting one. So I think Scotland choosing Max Williamson and Scott Cummings will be good for them to have a bit of a really good, powerful engine room. Guys that do dirty work around the park and do the unseen hard work. These guys are very important to enable the guys in the backline to really get going and do what they do best. Now, number 6, I think they're going to move Gregor Brown to number 6 from lock. He had a really good game last week. He's a very good player. He is versatile, so that's why I think they will move him to number 6. Obviously, there's injuries to Jack Dempsey and Jamie Ritchie, so they're going to have to move a few guys around. But I think Gregor Brown's a bit of a no-brainer to move to number 6. And to be honest, having a guy like that in the team could also just add to what I said of having more guys in that engine room that do the unseen, dirty, hard work that makes it easier for the backline to do their job. And I think Gregor Brown is the perfect player for that right now. Number 7, Rory Dodge, probably one of the standout players for Scotland in last week's game. Made a few turnovers, had the most gain line advantage, most ball carries over the advantage line for Scotland last week, which I thought was quite interesting considering he is one of the smaller guys, but he's going to probably have that same role again this week. He's going to have a really big amount of workload on his hands, especially with the likes of a Jack Dempsey out, but I think he's going to have a great game, and he's a clear number 7 for me. Look, I think for the forward pack this week, they're going to have to kind of keep it at full strength, especially with the injuries they have. They don't want to change too much, but you can kind of chop and change here and there. That's why I think bringing in guys to kind of replace the injured players that have already played in previous games is quite important, and I think Piers Kuman coming in makes sense because he is their other best prop in this team. Number 8, Matt Fagerson. I think this is a bit of a no-brainer as well. Look, with the players they have available, that is probably the best forward pack they can put out there. I mean, Piers Kuman, number 1, George Turner 2, Xander Fagerson 3, Max Williamson and Scott Cummings making up the lock pairing, and then Gregor Brown at 6, Rory Dodge 7, and Matt Fagerson 8. Still a very solid forward pack. Quite a few Glasgow Warriors players in there as well, but they're going to need as much cohesion as possible because losing 2 big players like that and shuffling guys around, it's going to feel weird for them. They're not going to be as comfortable as they were previously, and Wales might even target this going into this game. Now at number 9, I've gone for George Horne to start. I think it's good for him to get an opportunity to start, and it's about time. He is one of my favourite players in the Scotland team. If you watch this channel, you know I'll always talk positively about George Horne. He is such a good player, but I do, in the bigger games, see him as more of a bench role player. I do see him as a guy that's better off the bench. He can impact the game that way, and he's shown that as well. I mean, even at club level, he's such a good runner with the ball. He's good in open play. He's good when the game gets a bit more loose and broken up. So I think in this game, it'll be a perfect opportunity for him to get some more game time, and I think he will get some more game time alongside Adam Hastings. I think Adam Hastings is going to start at 10 for this game. I do think Finn Russell will be on the bench, but I do think it's important to let George Horne and Adam Hastings get a bit more game time. They haven't really had that much game time recently, especially Adam Hastings. He's been very good for Glasgow, and I think rewarding him with the starts against Wales might be key. Obviously, if things don't work out, you can always just bring Finn Russell back on. That's why I think he will be on the bench, but I do think it's important to give guys in your team, especially the guys lower down in the depth chart, some game time. Because if he doesn't have any game time and Finn Russell was to get injured, what do you do then? You have a guy that's cold. He doesn't understand what's going on in the team. He doesn't understand how the style of play works on the actual field in the game. Training versus the game is a completely different thing. So I think it's very important for George Horne and Adam Hastings to get some game time together. That's why I think they'll be starting. And to be honest, if they are going well, I think they'll probably play till about the 70th or 75th minute of the game. Number 11, I think they will go for Duan van der Merwe. This is a bit of a weird one. I mean, Jamie Dobie is injured, and I do think they'll probably be changing some of the players in the team this week. Now, I do think that Duan van der Merwe will start this game just because he actually has been on quite decent form for Edinburgh, and I think they are going to try reward guys lower down in the depth chart to try get some game time. I think Duan van der Merwe can still be a game changer for Scotland. He can be a really good player in this team. He can be a key player. And to be honest, with Jamie Dobie out, I think Duan van der Merwe is probably the best guy to put in there right now. He's a guy that wants to play. He's keen to get going. And I think letting him loose against a team like Wales, he'll probably score 1, 2, or maybe even 3 tries. And he's a very good finisher. And they might need that in a game like this, especially with a forward pack that doesn't really know how to play together right now with all the injuries. Wales are going to target that. And I think if you can get a guy that's a really good finisher, if you put him in a position where he can finish, he'll do it. I think Duan van der Merwe is a key guy to have this weekend. Number 12 and number 13, I'm sticking with Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones. I do think when there are so many other changes that are going to happen based on injuries, based on who you're playing, I think keeping some key combinations together is important. And I think Sione Tuipulotu is the captain. He's got to be the captain throughout all these games. And I think changing your captain might just be changing too much. And I think if you were to change both the centres, it might just be a bit too much. I mean, these guys are the spine of the backline. They are the engine room of the backline. I know I use that word a lot, but it is true. I mean, if you think about it, everything goes through these two guys. If they have a bad game, it normally looks like Scotland has a bad game. If they have a very good game, Scotland normally plays well. And I think having a guy like Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones outside Adam Hastings will make him a lot more comfortable as well. And it's important for the likes of a George Horn and Adam Hastings to understand how to play with Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones at this level. It's very key as well that they do play together for Glasgow, so they do know each other well, which will help. So I do think the transition from a Ben White and a Finn Russell starting to a George Horn and Adam Hastings won't be that bad. It won't be that difficult either because they know how to play together. But I do think they will be keeping the centres the same going into this weekend's game. Number 14, I've stuck with Kyle Steyn. I was going to put Darcy Graham in and maybe give Kyle Steyn a rest, but I think that might be a bit too much as well. I think Kyle Steyn's been phenomenal and you got to reward that. This was a bit of a one I was a bit weird of. I was thinking maybe they put Kyle Steyn at number 23 on the bench or someone else like Kyle Rowe on the bench and start Darcy Graham at 14. I still am a bit in two minds about this, but I do have my reasonings for this, which I'll speak about later on in this video. I mean, Kyle Steyn has been phenomenal. He is so good and he's come such a long way. And I think you just got to reward him with this another start. Give him as many starts as possible. He looks like he's loving his rugby right now. And maybe playing him in a game like this might just help boost his confidence even more. At number 15, I think they'll go for Tom Jordan again. He was really good last week. I mean, he's the kind of guy, as I've seen in some of the comments as well, people like him because he gets stuck into the hard work. He can be a physical player. He's really gritty. He's tough. He's very physical when he needs to be, but he's also very composed. And he actually won the kick battle and the aerial battle against Freddie Stewart and George Ford last week, which was a really big win for him in his young career. So I think he's going to be another guy. You just want to get him more game time, more confidence. And that's why I think if Jamie Dobie was healthy, he probably would have been playing as well. So to get those guys as much confidence as possible, as much game time as possible, so they can kind of understand the system a bit more. And I think starting a guy like Tom Jordan again makes sense. Obviously, there is a Blair Kinghorn that can still come in. He can maybe play on the wing as well, but I do think Blair Kinghorn will have a place in the squad, but just not in the starting lineup. Now at number 16, I've gone for Dave Cherry. Number 17, Nathan Macbeth. And number 18, Elliot Miller-Mills. Realistically, I do think these are the second option when it comes to the front row, and I do think starting Piers Skuman makes more sense this week, especially with the likes of the props they have at Wales. They have some really good props, and I think that's probably where their strength is right now. Their forward pack is tough, and with the amount of changes Scotland are making in the forward pack due to injury, it's going to be a much tougher game than people think, and I think this game could honestly be maybe a lot closer than people think just because of those key things. Last week being an emotional game, trying to get back up after a big performance, and possibly a few changes in Scotland's side. If Wales starts strong, it's going to be a very close game in my opinion. That's why Dave Cherry at number 16, Nathan Macbeth and Elliot Miller-Mills, they all have been okay. I think they're all going to try really look to improve at scrum time. If Scotland do get quite a big lead early on, I think Gregor Townsend will try to bring them on a bit earlier to try to get them more confidence. And I know that's a word I've been saying a lot, trying to get guys confidence, but I think it's important because I think Gregor Townsend's kind of been relying a lot on his starters recently, a lot on his key players, and if he can kind of bring in other people and give other guys opportunities and more game time within an already working system to try to get more confidence, it can only benefit the whole squad, the greater squad, especially a year out from a World Cup. Now at number 19, I think Grant Gilchrist comes back into the team, especially with the likes of the injuries they have to Jack Dempsey and Jamie Ritchie. I think with their depth chart right now, it just makes sense to bring him back. And he also has a big point to prove because he got dropped after that Italy performance. So he's going to have a big game to try work his way back into the team on a consistent basis. Number 20, I think they'll bring in Josh Bayliss, a guy that I'm not very familiar with, but I do know a lot of people rave about him. They like him a lot. So I am excited to see him play if he does get the opportunity. And just looking at this squad, I do think he is a guy that makes sense to bring into the team. Obviously, if Dylan Richardson was healthy, I think he's got an injury right now, he would be the guy I'd bring into the team because I really do rate Dylan Richardson very highly. I've watched him play at the Sharks. I've watched him play since high school, and he is a phenomenal player. But I do think right now with the players they have available, Josh Bayliss is the guy they'll bring in, and he's not a bad guy to bring in as well. Now at number 21, I do think Scotland also will be going for a 5-3 split again. I know a lot of people last week when they saw 5-3 split against England, they were shocked. I saw a lot of posts about it. The people were shocked how could they do that, but it eventually did work out. And I'm glad that Scotland kind of were confident in their own ability. They didn't go away from what they know to do best. And I would really want to see Scotland try have 2 to 3 consistent games in a row where the 5-3 split works for them, where they can play their kind of style. But also, I've also been seeing a lot of articles and stuff. Scotland do struggle in certain conditions, and I really think Scotland need to get better, especially in rainy conditions. I mean, it's been a cold week here. I don't know what the weather's looking like for the weekend, but if it is going to be a rainy game, then it might also be in Scotland's detriment. So that's going to be a very interesting one. But 21, I think they're going to go with Ben White. I think having some experience on the bench makes sense. I don't think you want to change too much within the actual 23-man squad. Yes, you can kind of chop and change things within and bring guys in, but I think already bringing the guys in to replace the players that are injured is already probably too much already for bringing new guys into a team, because Wales isn't actually a pushover. Like, Wales in Wales is always going to be tough. Wales anywhere in Europe is going to be tough because they are a nitty-gritty team, and they are going to be up for this one. And they kind of did see a few positives from last week, which they're going to try build on. So I really do think this is going to be a very interesting game this week. But I think if all else fails in the game and things aren't working out, you can bring a guy like Ben White on. He's a very good player. He's got crisp service. He's got a good kicking game. I mean, this guy, he's been at the top level for a while now, and I think having a guy like him on the bench can only help the team. But I do think George Horn is a good player. I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to be a standout player on the day. I think he's going to score a few tries. I probably guess he's going to score 1 or 2 tries. That's my early prediction for the game. But I think if everything's going well, I think George Horn will play probably 75 minutes in the game. Now, I do think at number 22, they're going to put Finn Russell alongside Ben White. I mean, if things are really going bad, you kind of have a get-out-of-jail-free card with those two on the bench. They can come on, they can delegate things. Finn Russell's got a very good kicking game. They can kind of swing the momentum of the game, get things back on the front foot. Finn Russell's very good at kicking for the corners and penalties as well. So if you do kind of build up those penalties, he'll get you in a nice position to get you to a position where you can maul over for a try as well. He's a good kicker for poles. So I think if all else does fail, you have these two guys on the bench that can take you forward. Now at number 23, I think they're going to go for Blair Kinghorn. I've seen reports that maybe Blair Kinghorn and Gregor Townsend are in a bit of a fallout right now. So maybe Kyle Rowe gets a game. Maybe Kyle Rowe even starts. Maybe Darcy Graham comes in. I'm not too sure. Like, honestly, I'm not too sure what they're going to do with the back three. They could honestly go Duan Vanamadav at number 11, or Darcy Graham at number 11, or Kyle Rowe at number 11, or Blair Kinghorn at number 11. They can do so many different things. So that's why this was probably the most difficult selection for me. And probably looking back at it right now, they probably could get away with resting Kyle Steyn for this game. He is an older player. He's been playing a lot of rugby, and putting Darcy Graham at number 14, or Blair Kinghorn at number 14, and putting Darcy Graham on the bench, which he's been playing the last few weeks. That probably makes sense as well. So I mean, for me, I've just gone Blair Kinghorn to give him some game time so he can work his way back into the team. And I think if he is on the bench, you'll probably get 25 to 30 minutes. But that's just what I think Scotland are going to go with for this weekend. I'm very excited for this game. I am extremely excited for this game. I mean, Scotland are going to really look to try keep the momentum going from last week. I know it's going to be very tough after such an emotional game. They gave everything against England, and hopefully the Scotland team, with probably a few changes, can put a similar performance out, because it would be really good for the fans, for the whole team, for the country, for the whole squad in general. And it's kind of not a blessing in disguise, but players getting injured now that are key players, they can get a bit of a rest, a year out from a World Cup, and other players can get an opportunity to kind of show what they're made of. And if there are injuries down the line, you know that they can plug in and they'll be fine. But that's just what I think, guys. If you do agree, let me know in the comments. If you don't agree, let me know as well. I've been really enjoying all the conversations with all the Scotland fans, so I can't wait for the next one. I'll be doing a preview of the game as soon as the other teams come out, as soon as the Scotland team is released as well. As soon as the Wales team is released, I'll get right onto it. So I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.